Okay, so relax. We are good. We are wonderful. We are good to go. All right. Hello. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I almost forgot what day of the week it is. I think the eclipse like totally messed up my brain. But I'm so excited. Today we have Joe Laxton joining us. And Joe has an extensive experience in the bodybuilding world. So we're kind of going to be diving into more of our Q&A style that we do for the prep files. But if you are joining us today, ladies, and you have questions on bodybuilding, on competing, on general health and fitness and weight loss, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I'll make sure that I'm monitoring those so we can get them answered for you. But anyhow, welcome, Joe. I'm really, really looking forward to speaking with you this afternoon.
I'm excited. It's always a great topic.
Yes, yes, it is. So, you have some extensive awards as far as being a bodybuilding coach. You earned Coach of the Year for NPC in
Yep.
2021 and two,
Yep.
or
2020. Yeah. 2020 and 2021. Yes. For the
okay,
MPC Midwest.
okay, all right, that's cool. Um, and so how long have you been in the bodybuilding space?
So I competed for just shy of 10 years myself, and actually coaching, it has been probably about 7 years coaching now, 7 or 8 years coaching.
Okay, all right. And how did you get into the bodybuilding space?
So I don't have the story of like weight loss by any means. I was your elite all state cross country runner in high
Mhm.
school.
Wow.
I was like 128 pounds, I think, when I graduated high school. I think my knees were probably bigger around than my legs, or like my quads. But I was always fascinated with just bodybuilding. I grew up in the '90s era, and I remember guys like Dorian Yates and all those. And it was always just fascinating. I think as a man, just like wow, look at these physiques. So it always fascinated me. I really enjoyed lifting. I enjoyed the gym. And eventually, I didn't start competing until I was 35 years old. I'm 44 years old now, but I didn't start competing until I was 34 was actually the first time I stepped on stage. And I think I got to a point in my early 30s where I was a little frustrated because that was back when you read magazines, when you go to Barnes and Noble and check books out. We didn't really have all the information that we have out there at our fingertips on phones now. So I read and I read and I read and I read and I read. And then, and most of the magazines were just there to try and sell me some magical supplement.
True.
And that's what those magazines were basically. And I just got frustrated because I'm like, how do these guys look like this? And I'm trying to do everything I can do. And I just said, we were talking earlier before we started, but like, men know everything, obviously, right? A little sarcasm on that one. But I didn't ever ask for help. And I just kind of hit this breaking point. My wife was kind of like, hey, like, what are you going to do with this? Kind of pushing me a little bit off the edge of like, maybe you should ask for help from somebody if you're frustrated. And so I could probably give credit to her. But I finally reached out to a guy, and he kind of showed me, hey, this is what you need to be doing in the gym. Here's how you need to fix your diet. I was lifting, in my opinion, in his opinion, was way too often, way too long. I wasn't eating enough. I mean, all the different things that we typically find out. It was, all the little tweaks that needed to be done. And then I decided, hey, I'm gonna compete. Just tell me what I need to do, and let's go. And I was hooked. It just, I loved it. I got third at my first show, and it was just one of those, you just and then I grew and grew, and I've done several national shows on the NPC stage. Last one being out in Pittsburgh. It's a great venue out there. I did Miami Nationals in 2017, and then Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was the last one. Great venue out there. And then I got into coaching because I also own a gym. Throughout the process, I actually started bodybuilding prior to owning a gym. And then just throughout that time frame, I had people reaching out, and I just started coaching after several years. And I'm like, okay, I've learned this stuff. How can I then go transfer it on? And I just continue to learn, continue to read, and just been a student at this point.
Right. No, that's amazing. And I think a lot of people either do, they do a show to get their feet wet and either they hate it or they love it.
Exactly.
There's no in between. You can't, it's not a sport where you can be mediocre about it.
Right.
Yes. So we have some ladies joining us on Facebook. So if you have questions, go ahead and drop them in. I know is watching. Alexis is one of our bodybuilding clients, and she actually went pro twice last year in OCB and NFF. So that was super cool.
Awesome. Awesome.
Super exciting year for her. So as far as you competed in men's physique, but it sounds like you're done competing now.
Yeah, there's different seasons in life. I've got kids. I'm a little league coach now. I've got a daughter that is a phenomenal track and cross country athlete. She placed ninth in the nation last year in AAU 1500 meters. So she's running all over, and it just, it is a very hard thing to juggle, especially when you start getting, older and careers and families and kids. And, not that I didn't have those, but, just kind of priority wise, especially when I took on athletes, I did find it hard to kind of do both sometimes. I mean, there were times I was in prep.
Mhm.
And I mean, we've all been, you might call it prep brain or whatever, but it's like, oh
Yeah.
shoot, I forgot I had 2 clients I was supposed to update meal plans for. And, because I mean, I'm a pretty radical guy. I can get pretty tunnel visioned on things. And it was kind of, I love competing. I love doing it, but it was one of those things like, I was close to a pro card. Sometimes, you feel you're this far, but it's probably this far,
Right.
especially trying to get into the IFBB. And, there's a lot of reality things. I mean, genetics, again, people are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was still probably 15 pounds too light, at my height. I'm 5'10". I probably had to been a lot bigger. And just time, just the timing of it. And, like, I kind of got into it thinking, hey, bodybuilding will help me create a career, a business. And it's like, I mean, most of my clients don't care if I'm an IFBB pro or they don't know if IFBB or NPC or whatever, all the acronyms we kind of put out there. And,
Right.
and I just, I found out, yeah, I was a decent competitor, but I think I'm a far better coach.
Right. Right. No, that's an amazing like self-recognition. Um,
Took me a while to figure it out though.
oh yeah. And I think to step away from the stage it is also it can be hard because it's something that you love.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like you said, life has different seasons and priorities do change. And just because you're not, stepping on stage right now doesn't mean you couldn't pick it back up in like 10 years.
And it is, I think there was, I had some shoulder issues and some
Mhm.
tendonitis and stuff like that. I'm mid 40s now. And I even noticed just our attitudes. Like I remember I would be in the gym and, in my head, I've got 5 more reps. And all of a sudden I'm like, I think I'm going to do 3, and I could just tell like, right. That drive, it just, I'm a hard worker, but I just didn't have that. I could just tell just in my own attitude, I just didn't have that drive anymore. Like, sometimes competitors think that, they have to go out and prove something. And it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, you have to prove something to yourself. And I think I did, and I think that was probably most of it. And it was kind of like, what else, is there left to do? That's why I always ask people, it's like, why are you really truly competing? Like, what is deep down inside that's going to get you, pushing and going and, and I think a lot of people don't even know why they're doing it. They really have to take some time and really kind of self-reflect, like, why am I really truly doing this? Is it for a pro card? Is it for attention? Could it be an insecurity? Could it be, it's like all these different things, because if it's just to get attention or it's an insecurity or, it is going to be short-lived, and you're right, that motivation is going to come and go very, very quickly. So I think a lot of people have to identify why they're doing it as well too.
Oh yeah, no, that's super valid. And I think too, a lot of people when they step in, I see this a lot with women, is that they're doing it as a method of weight loss and without
Yes.
understanding the level of commitment and the level of work that it takes. Because it's not just a diet, the diet's hard, but the amount of effort that you have to get up and go and put in every single day.
I think you nailed it. I think bodybuilding is becoming um, a bucket list type of sport.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to tell somebody why they shouldn't or shouldn't compete. But at the same time, I always tell, hey, if you're not going on stage to really try and win, you're not
Mhm.
going to give it, there's just a difference. Because if I'm going through training and I know this is, hey, this is going to be fun, I've always wanted to do it, check it off a list. They're not going to follow their diet 100%. They're just not going to.
Yeah.
They're not going to, they're going to quit. Again, when they have 5 reps, they might do 4. When they're doing their cardio for 45 minutes, they might go for 30, and no one will know. But then when they get there and they're backstage, because at their gym, they look great. Everybody looks great.
Oh yeah.
Gym,
Yeah.
right? Everybody posts on social media and everyone tells them they're going to kill it and you're doing great. But then when you go backstage, you're like, oh my goodness, everyone back here looks amazing. And you might be top 5, you might be the winner. But backstage, if you didn't do what you needed to do, all those insecurities, all those things start coming to fruition when you're backstage, and all of a sudden you get more nervous. Your posing is going to be affected. It's like, no, when you're in prep, you really have to follow your coach 100%. You really got to do everything, because when you're back there, that's where your confidence comes in at the last minute, knowing that you did everything that you're supposed to do.
Right. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I've actually talked with some women backstage that, we've had those conversations. And I think that, coming to that realization, 5 minutes before you get on stage is really tough.
Yeah, it could be a train wreck. I mean, it's like all those insecurities and all that, and then you're thinking, man, I don't belong up here. All these other girls, because I cheated on this. I didn't, man, I cut out my cardio that one day. I ate that bite of ice cream. And all those different things are going through your head. You look amazing. You're going to do great. But all of a sudden it got into your head, and all of a sudden your confidence is lagging. Right. And we've all seen people on stage that look amazing, but they don't look like they want to be there. They don't look like, and that's usually because of something during their training just came to fruition 5 minutes before, and it was like a whirlwind of emotions.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What a tough day. Those days are tough anyhow. Good grief.
Yes.
We had a question on from the Facebook group, so I want to get that real quick. But Alexis asked, she said, what are the biggest differences you see today with your competitors versus when you were competing?
So I think good and bad, but I think there is too much emphasis on being in the gym, promoting it like crazy, versus just getting in and getting your workout done. I think I think one of the biggest things right now is social media. I think it's a big distraction from the sport itself.
Oh yeah.
Because I tell my athletes this, because I would see them sometimes in the gym, and I was one of those, get in, go really, 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 really hard, and then go home. Because again, our results are predicated to our ability to recover from our activity.
Yes.
So, you can work out really, really hard with high intensity, or you can work out for long durations of time. I'm a firm believer that you cannot do both. And if you're in there, but hey, I'm in bodybuilding, I'm looking good, I'm getting attention, I got whatever, my Lululemon on or whatever, and you're looking good in the gym. And I think a lot of people have turned bodybuilding into what they can post up into the show is more important than winning the actual show. They get, I wanted to win. I wanted to go up there and get the darn trophy, if that meant, cover up in the gym and maybe hide out for a little bit. Now, again, if somebody went onto my social media and was listening to this, like, Joe, you are all over social media. It was for me to promote a business, so to say.
Right. Yes.
And there were probably, and I was probably guilty of probably posting too many pictures. Oh, and here's another picture of me posing, and here's another picture of me I'm sure I was probably been guilty of it before, but I can see there's been a big change. And I can see sometimes at some of the shows, I think people are coming in people are coming in really good conditioning, but there's a lot of people who are not. I think some of the competition's been a little watered down, and this isn't coming back to my era, because this is the same. I mean, it's not like I've been out for decades, right? But I think people are social media competitors versus stage competitors at this point, and the ones who want to just kill it on stage are doing it. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things. I think too many people document way too much stuff and they're there to get likes on social media versus killing it on stage. And it's not that you can't do both.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I'm kind of in your camp, Joe. I really don't like to tell people when I'm doing a show. I mean, of course, people in the gym are going to notice because you do get hot and you have to uncover something. But
Yeah.
I would prefer to not share all of that. It's just
Yeah.
easier for me to put my blinders on, go in and do what I need to do, go home, take a nap, eat whatever. And
Yeah. And then
yeah.
and then all of a sudden you have all these stage, hey man, you won, you got a trophy and you won the overall and you did, and then it's like you got, and then all that attention and all the, I mean, because again, everybody likes attention. I'm not saying, people don't want to get attention and social media is not there. So you have to kind of figure out, okay, why am I really like what am I trying to promote? Am I trying to promote health? Am I trying to promote me half nude on social media? Like what am I really trying to promote? I think people have to kind of look at that because it is going to affect their placing. Not that social media is going to affect their placing. It's that mindset going into the show of, am I here to develop my quad sweep or am I here to get 20 more likes?
Mm-hmm. That is such a good way to look at it, for sure.
And if you develop a better quad sweep, you'll get 20 more likes. But
That's
if
true.
you get but if you get 20 more likes, it doesn't mean you're going to develop a quad sweep. So go with developing your muscle and enhancing your physique. Go with that emphasis, and the rest will take care of itself.
Right. No, such a good point. I wanted to ask, do you, I see it a lot like with the shows I've been to, but I think that a lot of the time people have a tendency to leave out just how important posing is and hiring a really good posing coach.
So this is what I tell all my competitors when we start posing, because you always have those first initial people like bodybuilding looks great. Men's physique posing is pretty simple. Bodybuilding, go into your mandatories, try and scare small children with veins, and you'll be good to go. Now, bikini and figure and wellness, there is so much more involved in trying to look flawless, feminine, slightly seductive, all these different things. It might not be your personality. Posing men's physique was not my personality. Bodybuilding was more of my personality. Men's physique was not my personality. So there was a lot, there was a little difference. But I always tell all my competitors this: every show I've ever been to, it is not the best physique that wins. It is who presents the best physique wins. So and so backstage might look amazing, but when they go up, up on stage, they look terrible because they can't present it.
Mm.
So if you have 10 competitors, I bet 4 or 5 of those competitors just started posing 30 to 40 days before the show. And it totally shows, right?
Right.
And 2 or 3 of them has been posing for a few months, and 1 or 2 have probably been posing nonstop in the off season when they're so-called overweight, because nobody wants to practice posing when they're not completely stage ready. It's because we will all go to clinics and someone's like, hey, get so-and-so up here who's usually a seasoned, competitor. Oh, no, I'm not ready to get. I'm like, we know you're not ready. We know you're not show ready. You still look amazing. Get up in front of people and start posing. It's just, yeah, we know you're not show ready. We know we don't walk around like that year round, but posing will determine who wins a show, literally. And if they're not posing, I don't care how hard they diet. My dog's in the background. Sorry about that. I thought they were going to be done. Joys of working from home. But if they're not posing, they are not going to present the best physique.
Right. No, 100%. Yeah. So that's everywhere then. That's just not, in the few shows that I've been to.
Yeah. And even if you think you're posing a lot, you're not. Continue to do it even more. Yeah. I mean, if you think it's hard and you think all that different stuff, you have to do it more and more and more.
Mhm. Right. Yeah. It's like I don't encourage our athletes to pose like I know some coaches require like do an hour of posing. I think that's too long and like you get tired and you start making mistakes and then you're practicing mistakes. So we like to keep it shorter, but do get it in every day, at least once a day.
Yeah, you're at the gym. Hey, just go up a little bit, go in, hit a couple poses in between sets. I mean, just getting confident. And because one of the things too, I mean, we have all had, for some reason, I don't know why everybody has had this dream of showing up to high school in your underwear. Like everybody has had that dream. And I don't know what that represents or what it means, but it's like in bodybuilding and in, you're a bikini competitor. It's like, okay, now I'm walking out in usually something smaller than underwear. And now we're going to get judged by peers. It's like, there's nothing natural about it. So if you're not comfortable posing in front of 2 or 3 or 20 people in the gym in front of mirrors in your clothes, in your gym clothes, again, how are you going to come across when you're now on stage, literally in significant, which you should not be working out in things smaller than your suits. So no, do not do that. But if you're not confident doing that, it's just, again, half of all of just being in front of people is just being able to say, hey, look, I'm going to do this in front of a crowd of people, because we all remember that first time going out on stage. You're like, wow, I'm really doing this. Like, you start walking out and you're like, okay, this is and then I loved it. I loved the attention of stage. I loved going out there. Some people, they're just terrified of it, and it was not a good experience because they're just not. It's all of that stuff. It's not the prep, it's not the diet, it's not the men who have to shave their legs and their armpits and getting used to it. It's the walking out in front of people. They don't want the attention. And again, because it is an unnatural thing. So the more and more you can put yourself in those positions, the more that's going to come out on stage when you're there.
Right. No, that's such good advice. And if you have that solid practice routine, you also don't have to worry about remembering what your routine is, because you will just do it.
Yes.
Yeah. I know I walked off the national stage, I think it was in Pittsburgh, and I didn't know if I'd remember to make the last turn, but I know that I did it because I've been practicing it so long.
I see pros go up there and, they'll kind of botch a little bit of a pose, and your average person probably can't even see it, but you're like, yeah, I don't think that was in the routine, because again, there's so many things, just the simple thing of posing to the head judge versus the front of the stage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen pros make that mistake.
Right. Right. No,
They're not square. Yeah, they're not squared up to the head judge. They're posing to the front of the stage, and it's just so many things going on in your head.
right.
And not only posing practice, it's posing from which side of the stage. What if you're on the left side? What if you're on the right side? Going through all the different scenarios. So when you're up there, are you facing the head judge, or are you over on the far right facing the front of the stage? There was a show I did in Tennessee, the Knox Classic back in 2017. And there were, I don't know, 18, 19 guys in my flight. There were 28, I think 28 guys in my class for men's physique, right? So they did it in flights.
Yeah.
So I think they had 12 to 15 out there, and just randomly had you all the way across the line. Well, I was second to the far right.
Okay.
And with 15 people out there. So I had a guy all the way on my right side. Well, I turned completely sideways out in front of the line. I'm literally standing in front of this guy, blocking him from the judges. But I was in my back pose, and he's literally faced 45 degrees this way, facing the front of the stage. Yeah. Did I block him? Yes. Did I practice this? Yes. If there's 15 people standing on the line, I'm sorry, it's just not feasible. He should have came out all the way around the corner and made a horseshoe shape and posed, and then they actually moved me right after that. They moved me right into the center, because I was completely off of the line in the front, because the idea isn't to be off the line. The idea is, if there's 15 people out there, is to be seen by the judges. So I came far out in front of the line because I had done it. I had practiced this stuff. I knew if the judges can't see me, they cannot judge me.
That's very
and
true.
That just comes with practicing, knowing where you're not only posing, but knowing where you're at on the stage.
No, that's a really good point. Really, really good. All right, I'm going to check in, ladies, in the group. If you have any more questions, go ahead and drop them in so we can make sure we get those answered for you today, before we let Joe go back to his work and his dogs. So since stepping away from you competing, you're focused more on coaching, regular kind of lifestyle clients. You also mentioned that you're coaching your little league team. Was that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. Our kids are big. They don't do things like that anymore.
Yeah, I've got an 8-year old, and a 13-year-old. So
Oh, nice. So you have some more time there. Yeah,
it's fun. It's fun.
it is. Um, Alexis, I knew she would have more questions. She wanted to know, is there any major differences between men and women in prep?
The thing that I focus on is clearly difference in workouts.
Mhm,
Typically speaking, women don't need a chest day.
mhm,
Women don't need an arm day. I usually have a lot of my female athletes do, way more legs than men. Not that men don't need to be doing legs. It's just, again, they might have I might split them up more with like a hamstring, glute day, quad, quad calves, things like that. Um, that is a big focus. I will have a lot of women have a like body weight band type of day. Those are the most tedious ones. Those are the hard workouts to do because it's fun lifting heavy weights and getting in and do, but putting a band on your knees and doing side steps and step ups and all this stuff. Yeah, it is tedious, but it's not as fun as the others. Where you really won't see a bunch of guys doing things like that as well too. So I think training emphasis. Like I usually have women do and this is totally subjective. I mean, but I have a lot of women, they might do just an upper body day with shoulder emphasis, back secondary, and then the next time it might be a back emphasis, shoulder type secondary. But what I always focus with women, especially men, I mean, men the same way too, but with women especially, is the lineup of how you choose your workouts. Now, again, this is my opinion, but I always look at width before depth. So let's time travel back to the 80s here real quick. Women in the general population, and I'm going to say the word appears. I'm not going to say they did or didn't, but women appeared to have a lot smaller waists in the 80s. And again, I'm going to emphasize the word appeared.
mhm.
And the reason it appeared so is because y'all's clothing had built-in pads in the shoulders, and it made
That's
them
true.
stick out, right? Right. It made them stick out.
Yeah.
Which, if what did that do to the waistline? it
Right.
made it it made it look a lot smaller. So again, that's why I say appeared. They probably didn't have smaller waists. It's just the clothing made it look that way. So in bodybuilding, what is it that they're looking for? They're looking for a tapered waist. So sometimes judges might say things like, "Hey, you need to shrink your waist." Well, that's like saying shrink my finger. I can't. I mean, I can't shrink. I can
Right.
say get leaner, but my waist is whatever amount of inches that it is. So a lot of times that equates to go build a wider delt set and go build some wider lats. And
Mhm.
that's going to give a taper. Now, again, when in the gym, we are typically weaker side delts versus front or rear delts. So I always say when you're in the gym, work on the movements that are going to help you get width before
Mhm.
depth. Not that we don't want the definition, especially in figure, we need a three-dimensional back.
Yeah.
But they might have a three-dimensional back, but it's those delts that just, that give that entire just, I mean, everything in my opinion, from a judge's standpoint, I think they're looking at how wide their delts are. And that's what's going to catch their eye. And that makes their tapered waist come down. And then obviously, quad sweeps and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I just say really put the emphasis on, when you're fresh in the gym, work on the width movements before necessarily those depth movements.
Okay. No, that's really good. Um, and I think the same thing. We usually do shoulders a couple of times a week.
Yeah.
As much as you can handle. One thing that like I know we have to be careful with, especially with the demographic that we work with age-wise, is like really controlling that recovery aspect because if we get overstressed from training, then cortisol gets too high and then like everything just goes in the toilet.
One of the problems is we live in this world of no days off.
Yeah.
No days off. Seven. The grind. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like I like the concept of it, but come on. Like you need some recovery days. I again, your results come from being out of the gym, sleeping,
Mhm.
getting recovery. you know it just, yeah, we have to emphasize recovery. And I think, again, this is my opinion, but I think people, um they really enjoy training.
Hmm.
And I kind of took a different spin on it. I never really liked training. I, you
Okay.
know, it was a necessary evil. You know, it's like my wife, again, she would say childbirth was not fun.
Mhm.
I mean, she could say rewarding, hey, she really wanted to be a mother, but she's like, if we could skip the whole, I mean, if that was possible, but it's just what has, again, it is necessary. Hey, if I could look the way I looked and not have to lift weights, I'd have done it.
Right.
So I kind of took that approach where I'm like, man, like I have to lift today. It's like, if you're not getting a little bit of an anxiety attack of how bad it's going to hurt to go to the gym, you're probably not pushing hard enough.
Hmm.
It really, and though, so it's just really kind of check your training and check kind of how that goes. But no, I mean, yes, I trained hard. I did all that, but it was a necessary evil because I was like, I really want the results. I really want to win. I guess I have to train this way and go through some punishment where I think if, a lot of people are like, man, I miss the gym. I miss the gym. I miss the gym. Or those people that can't stay out of the gym after a show to allow their body. It's like,
Oh
I
gosh.
had no, I, I had no problem I had no problem taking a week or two off after a show. Cause I'm like, I'm spent. Like my body is broken down. I'm depleted. Like I need to recover. People that get right back into it. It's again, I don't want to step on toes, but I don't think they prep that hard. I don't think that, it's like
Mhm.
if you're, it's like people say I can't sleep. I have no problem sleeping. I go hard. And by the time it's time to go to bed, I'm out. I go hard all day. It's
Right.
time to sleep. It's like I'm ready to sleep because I went hard all day. So I think a lot of times we just have to question, like what is the grind? How hard are we really going?
Right. Right. No, I think that's totally valuable. And like something I've been noticing this last year is that I can't do 5 days in a row. I
No,
physically cannot.
I can't.
Maybe I
I
could
can't
have,
do it.
like when I was 30, but I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I can't do it because that's a question. Joe, how often should I be lifting? I don't know. How old are you? I don't, when I was 21, man, I could go drinking all night, get up at 10, have a little headache for a few hours and be right back at it. It's like, I can't do that anymore. I mean, so I think, again, because everybody reads, oh, well, Ronnie Coleman did this or so and so. I'm like, well, you're not Ronnie Coleman. I mean, I don't, it's just, everybody, it does depend on each individual. And it's like, no, the answer is how quickly can you recover?
Hmm.
And I mean, how truly quickly can you really truly recover? Because if you're constantly in a depleted state, again, you're not going to get the results. You really have to take a really hard look at your recovery. And again, sometimes I think this is the importance of having a coach, because ourselves, oh, I'm bulletproof, I can do whatever, and it's like, no, you're not. Like, we have a hard time sometimes admitting our flaws,
Hmm.
and it's not that, it's that controversial by any means, but it's like, no, that's why it's really good to have a coach who can be honest with you and say, look, I need you in there. Like I just lowered a gal. She's a natural IPE pro. She's going to step on an NPC stage because it's a look. I think she's going to kill it on an NPC stage. But I mean, she's losing weight at 2,600 calories,
Nice.
and I mean, we're 6.5 weeks out, and she's losing weight at 2,600 calories at 130 pounds. One of the things I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to back. I think we're going to lift 4 days a week. I actually pulled how many days she's going to lift because I'm like, you're not. I mean, I think she's in there too much, and she's pushing. She's pushing glycogen stores out of her muscles, and
Hmm.
I just, it's like, no, I don't want you. I don't want you small on stage. I want you big.
Right.
I think one of the biggest fallacies is they're in this hurry to get small. But no, we need to look full. We
Right.
need full muscles, not depleted. This whole thing of, oh, I got to dry out and lean up and lean up and lean up. It's and you say, I mean, you see it. 90% of athletes look amazing a week before a show. They look
Hmm.
amazing. They look amazing. They look terrible on stage. They look flat, depleted. They can't get a pump. Their muscles are flat. None of
Right.
their lines are in. And then all of a sudden, Sunday and Monday, they look amazing again. And it's
Right.
like, what happened during that week
Hmm.
and it just because they were in a hurry to dry out and lean out and get small. And, the peak week, I call it voodoo week. Everybody changes everything and
Oh yeah.
they do all this, whatever. And then they come in small, flat,
Mhm.
and way too dry, but muscle's 70% water. They cut
Right.
out all this stuff and, they pull all their water. Yeah, you pulled water from, from your muscles.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's so true. And that's I'm glad you brought that up because peak week is so there's no oh my God, there's so many misconceptions about it. And I think there's so many
Yeah.
bad protocols out there. And really, if I feel like if you're a good coach, you're going to look at your particular client, which hopefully you've been working with them for a while, and
Yes.
be able to help them navigate that week in a manner that is appropriate for them, which is
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
necessarily what's appropriate for, a different client.
Yes. Cause I would have, I had two gals do a show and they carpooled to it. It was 3 hours away. They
Okay.
carpooled to it. One was 5'1" and one's 5'8". I go, you guys are not allowed to talk to each other about your diet and your protocol today. I mean, they're really good friends. I was joking
Yeah.
with them because I'm like, how come she gets to eat this? And I'm like, well, because you're 5'1" and you're 5 foot. Like you are not the same person. You have
Right.
different, like they had completely different protocols. And I know a lot of coaches, I would have people ask me, hey, what's my peak week diet going to look like? I'm like, I don't know. We're 9 weeks out. They're, oh, well, my last coach. I'm like, well, then tell me what you're going to look like and I'll tell you what you're going to eat. Well, I can't do that. I just think too many people are copy and paste and they're just saying, here's my
Mhm.
peak week protocol. And
Right.
I'm not like that. And if they do that, run, I mean, if someone's
Yes.
going to tell you what your diet's going to look like in a month, run.
Right.
That's they have no business coaching. And heck, I'll give credit where it's at. Most of my entire peak week protocol is straight out of Lane Norton's book.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
literally, I mean, his water protocol, all that type of stuff. And a lot of my entire philosophy came from, again, I'll give credit. I mean, Lane Norton's got some phenomenal things on prep. But
Mhm.
that's that thing is everybody thinks peak week that they're going to improve their physique by 20%. And this is right out of his book. He goes, no, let's try to improve it by 5%. you
Mhm.
know you got to be ready, and this is one of the big, I want people ready almost 2 or 3 or 4 weeks out,
Right. Yes, that's
because
ideal.
then you can start testing things. If you're going way too slow and you think peak weeks is going to change everything, man, that's a gamble that I know I'm not willing to take.
Right.
peak
Yeah. No.
week peak week is there to try to possibly improve 2, 3, 4, 5% at the most. it
Mhm.
you know it it is not going to be this 20%. Oh, don't worry, peak week will get you there. Like, you better come in a little bit early to where
Mhm.
now you can test some things. That I like doing. That I like coming in 3 or 4 weeks early. Now I'm going to test my carb up and I can refeed into the
Yes.
show.
Yep.
Peak week, in my opinion, again, not always, but I usually ate a lot more. My
Mhm.
hardest weeks were 2 and 3 weeks out. Those were my hard weeks. And then peak week, I'm like, here, let's just, it's done. Let's just fill up these glycogen stores and go on stage big.
Yes. That's how I feel that it should be. Um,
Yeah.
so it's great when everything plays out that way.
Well, and that's the thing. I heard somebody try to describe it one time. I mean, you're trying to catch lightning in a jar.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
I
good.
peaked today. Oh, I peaked early. You're literally, it's like, and it's just the nature of the industry. And I mean, pros do it, amateurs do it. Sometimes amateurs come in amazing and pros come in and it just, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're trying to catch lightning in a jar to try and get your body to look amazing in that 10-minute window that you go on stage while prepping for 16 weeks or 20 weeks or however long someone does. And it just, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure. I mean, there's a lot,
Yeah.
and that's why I say
Oh, yeah.
it's like, you have to do things 100%, or again, it's just, it's a frustrating thing. My second show was terrible. I started Googling a bunch of stuff and I came in so flat. I couldn't, I mean, it was just, I was so mad at myself. Learning curve though, yeah,
Oh
just,
yeah.
I had to experience it. Okay, Joe, what not to do is everything you did. Let's chalk that up as absolute failure. Don't ever do that again.
Right. Yeah. No, but that's so valid too, is that there are learning curves for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of, being able to work with the client for more than just, the 16 weeks that it's going to take to get on stage. That gives you
Yes.
time to learn how their body works, time to learn how they respond to things, looking at recovery, hormone balance, and then, throw the gut health mix into there.
And that's the thing. Bodybuilding can be such a fun, the
Oh, yeah.
science of it. I geek out on the science stuff of it. I think it's fascinating. If I eat this and 3 hours later, how's that going to affect? I mean, all that stuff is really fun to me. But at the same time, you also have to watch it, because if somebody doesn't do this correctly, again, this is not, I mean, you can mess up your hormones. You can do,
Mhm.
I mean, even like, extreme weight loss. Like, they said people who did, the contestants on The Biggest Loser, right? They said like the
Oh,
average one took 6 years to get their metabolism back in order.
oh, yeah.
It's like you really have to, because I mean, that was one of the most worst protocols that you can do. Like, whoever
Mhm.
lost the least amount of weight was kicked off of a show. I'm sorry, but you're going to go to extreme measures to try and, keep going. But again, in bodybuilding, we do go to extreme measures. So, your health primarily is the most important thing. Yes, you should be running your blood markers, right? Or, getting your biomarkers, and where's your estrogens, where's your thyroid function, where's all this different stuff at. You really need to be, monitoring that stuff. But then you also have to have a great protocol for after a show,
Yeah. Oh, yes.
because again, you're going to look amazing, and you're going to, then also, but you're not going to stay there.
No.
Like, you're going to gain weight. It is going to come back. And everybody talks about, oh, the post show blues. And it's like, yes, it is a thing, but it shouldn't be, because in reality, during prep, you're miserable. You're forgetful. Your kids are avoiding you. Your spouse is like, hey, are you done with this? Again, we've all, I mean, we've had some doozy nighttime issues with my wife, and fighting and arguing and all this stuff, because I'm hungry and irritable, and she's competed and she's done very well. And the same thing, it was like payback. She'd tear into me because she's hungry and all this stuff. And it's like, no, we are never going to stay show ready. It's just one of those, you have to understand it in reality and have that healthy discontent with where somebody's at. But walking around that lean, again, yes, you look great, but at the same, you're not going to stay there, nor should you, and nor is it healthy to stay there. So it's, you really just have to have all of these expectations of what it's going to look like. Here's the reason you're doing it. This is the process of what's going to happen. But then we have to have that protocol to go back to quote unquote normal.
Mhm.
And going back to normal is fun, getting back. And, for me, I mean, I've been sub 3% body fat, and going back to like 10 or 12 was amazing. I felt awesome. I slept, I could, it just, it was a great feeling. But if you don't watch it, again, it's people, again, oh, am I getting fat? No, I was not fat at 10, 11, 12% body fat. A female at, they might get into show prep at, 12, 11, 13, 14, 15, 20% a lot of times. Even, it's like, you're not going to stay there. You're going to go back, and you're going to enjoy life again, and have some food, and not be so irritable also.
Right. Yes. That's so good. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I wanted to touch on that. So it's perfect.
It's a big deal. I mean, it
Yeah.
is, because I mean, I've just seen people. I mean, yeah, I mean, they've totally destroyed their hormones. And it was, oh, my coach had me on, white fish and asparagus for 6 weeks. And it's like, okay, 2 hours of cardio and
Yes.
asparagus and tilapia, and and you're just, at 800 calories. and
Mhm.
and and it's just, I get it, but that's not, I'm just telling you, that's not the route to go on stage. It's just not, I um we need carbohydrates, ladies. We need them. Carbs are your friend. Carbs, again, carbohydrate. Yeah, we call them carbs, but the second term of that is carbohydrate. Right there.
Right.
Again, if you want a full formed and shaped muscle, you need glycogen stores, and that is going to come from carbohydrates. And you need energy, and you need all these different, so yeah, I mean, if you're with a coach that's not talking to you about all of that, how's your mental state, how's your sleep, and how's this different stuff, it's like, these are things that you really have to monitor. Otherwise, yeah, you can really get yourself in trouble.
Right. Oh, yeah. 100%. I agree. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions, Joe. We've taken up quite a bit of your time this afternoon. So I think that's actually a really fitting, thought to leave the
Well,
ladies with.
I love the topic. I mean, if you haven't,
Yes.
I could probably talk about it for another 12 hours tonight. So
Right. I know. Um, that's what happens when, people go together that have similar interests. We just
yeah.
have.
And even with what we've talked about, we've only scratched the surface because
Oh,
again, there's
yeah.
so many, again, there's so much that goes into it. And, and most people never know it until it's actually right in front of them.
Right.
But yeah, and I mean, I'm an open book. I love talking about it. Anybody ever, does have questions, hey, shoot me a message. I'll give you I'm a straight shooter. And I collaborate with a ton of other coaches. And I think the industry needs to do it more.
Oh, I agree. I agree. Yeah. So if the ladies did have questions on something, where could they reach you at, Joe?
Yep. So on Instagram, I'm just at Joe Laxton, JoeLaxton. That's just my Instagram. My email is joe@joesnutritioncoaching.com. My Instagram bodybuilding team. So I just wanted to see some of our photo shoots and some of our athletes that we put on stage over the years. It's the Awaken the Warrior. It's at Awaken the Warrior. It's got my little logo on there. And then just Facebook, Joe Laxton. I should do more stuff on Facebook probably than most things.
Right. Okay. Awesome. We'll make sure we get those underneath the replay too, so that people can have
Cool.
access to that. But thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you making the time to have this conversation. I certainly enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
sure it'd be great to do some more stuff in the future. I'm actually putting together some stuff with some other coaches where we're going to kind of create a little bit more of like a collaboration from all over the place. So yeah, it's just great. And, having more and more coaches come together because I truly think the industry, and not only the industry, I mean, just the health industry in general, right?
Oh, yeah.
The fitness industry, I think we're facing an area right now where, Ozempic is people's health plan.
Right.
Their health plan is I just need a pill, a shot, a magic supplement. And it's like I really truly believe, I think if people really embrace um just this ground roots of helping people really truly understand food, nutrition, diet, what it really takes to lose weight and lose fat necessarily and get leaner and build muscle. I think the better the entire country is going to be, because again, we live in a world of social media
Mhm.
where so and so said something with a lot of confidence and they said it in front of a crowd and it was just wrong.
Right. Oh, I
It's
know.
like, yo, man, man, that sounds great. Man, I wish it were true and I wish it was that easy, but you know what? He's lying to you and that's just not true. And that's why I like a lot of the guys like Lane Norton and a lot of the guys that are going out and, calling out a lot of these charlatans out there. And it's like, people like yourself, following your social media and, the information that you're putting out there. It's like, no, it's us normal people who can collaborate back and forth with our day-to-day average clients who can
Mhm.
get real information is going to set them up a lot better for the future.
Right. No, that is so true. I actually just had that conversation with the client this morning. She's
It's
like
crazy.
eternally great for, clearing up the noise that is on social media.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, oh no, this 10-day thing, and then I'm gonna do this in the next 20, and then the next 3 days I'm gonna do this, and this is gonna reset itself. And then it's time that no, that
Right. Yeah.
you fell for. That is the formula for why people don't succeed. Like that is exactly the route. Like you are headed down the road that is leading off a cliff, period.
Yes. Yes.
It's like, so no, that's pretty cool. No, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the offer.
Absolutely.
And like I said, if there's anything I can help out with, just reach out. I'm sure we'll be great friends over the years.
Right. No, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Joe. And I certainly will be reaching out.
Sounds good.
Have a good day.
Take care.
You too. Thank you.